cheer, cheer for UCS. You do your best and we'll do the rest. Fight, fight, fight with all your might. We are the Braves and our team is white. Go, go, for our colors bright. We are so proud of the blue and the white. Score, score, score and fight some more. And we'll win this game tonight. Rip them up, tear them up, go Braves, go. Rip them up, tear them up, go Braves, go.
But basically just be contact the state, contact the federal government, here's what's happening, and then pull all the people resources in to try to help us do it. I know Amy has done a lot with the insurance, so we've got a lot of that in place for the win. But other than that, that's a real quick brief, so that gets me cleared with what I have to do with the state. Any questions or comments?
I'm glad you guys are continuing to update that.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
yeah. The reality of it, I mean, you see so many big players getting hit right now.
all the auto industry with that, I think they ended up paying a $25 million ransom to.
Yeah, so it
Get unlocked.
does keep us up at night. I know our head's in the sand, put our hind end in the air, but we do the best we can. So that's all we do is just keep on, and like I said, we are looking at some things to help us out. We may come asking for some other things, but right now that's what we're doing. So any suggestions or comments? If not, then I'm gonna get back to work.
Thanks,
I will
appreciate it.
just, yeah, just a reminder, I will just add what Billy said, we have cybersecurity insurance. Right now, we have a $3 million policy, $5,000 deductible. I did, a few weeks back, just ask what a $5 million policy was. And we came back with some quotes. So I may, just bring them to the board at time of renewal in the fall and look at maybe increasing that, because I think it is not a matter of if, it's when. And right now, for about the initial just indication of the quotes for an additional $2 million, the premium would go up from about $19,000 to $22,000. However, the deductible goes up to $75,000, but you get $2 million additional coverage for, $70,000 difference in deductible, but you get $2 million in coverage, so for $4,000. So it's something at renewal we may look at.
What did you say the deductible is right now?
30,000 on depending on what type of cyber attack it is. Sometimes some of those levels the deductible is 30,000, but for the majority it's 5. But for $5 million in coverage, there's an option for a $75,000 deductible, and the premium's an additional about $4,000. So it's just some options to look at. So I thought I'd time it when we renew in the fall and just look and see how our other renewals come in, especially with our automotive. Who knows what that's going to happen with our trend. But anyway, so just to add that to Billy.
Okay.
Yeah, has there been a district that didn't have insurance that was, I guess attacked or whatever, held ransom on funds or anything?
I think, you hear across the country, there has been some.
I don't think in Kentucky there
No,
has
not
been,
Kentucky,
but
but-
there have been
Yeah, I
school
think it's basically
schools and
bankrupt school districts.
There have been school districts who've had fraudulent, like email. There was one school district, it was pre-COVID or right when COVID hit. I think it's like $250,000 they fraudulently wired from their cash account.
And it's not always asking for just money. I mean, we saw one where they actually hit, I think it was a superintendent, and then got into the camera software also, and figured out who the family of the superintendent was, and actually went, said, we know where your family is, sent pictures and all that. So it can grow really quick. So, not only the money part of it, but just the intimidation side of things. So anyway, like I said, we try to do as much third party, when I say third party, people that have, the cybersecurity built into things. It's not all homegrown. There's a lot of people a lot smarter than we are, especially me. So any help we can get. But anyway, Sean, you're listening. Is there anything that you can?
It's we are constantly looking at different options and stuff like that, monitoring what's going on. We do get alerts when other districts are hit and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one good thing about the state is since we all are one network, we do talk and work with each other.
Yeah, I think, I was talking to my youngest son, just so you guys know, but I think Murray State just started offering that cybersecurity certificate to almost their computer science program too.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a full-time staffed person, for that, but we're just not big enough. Something I kind of been talking to some of the other districts and to the state level is like, can we do like a regional type? Can
Like
we
a
share
co-op
some
thing.
expense, and have somebody just, and they're talking about these things because obviously, you have so much difference in your CIOs and your technology staff. You may have one that's got cybersecurity, you may have one that's just fresh out of the classroom.
Mhm.
So it's such a spread, and to be honest with you, if you got somebody that's a network specialist or engineer or cybersecurity, you're not gonna get them as cheap, so, and then are they gonna stay? And
Mhm.
so we're trying to farm out some things that we can, the state's doing pretty good at trying to help us out, but it is on the forefront, and just, like I said, tonight when we say prayers, just hope, say a little more for me that this don't get us, but, so anyways, and Chad, your computer's up front, so you got that. But like I said, if you need anything, I'm here, and if not,
Okay. Thanks
I'll
again.
have my business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is review of procedure 03.125 AP.21 and 03.125 AP.22. Ms. Morris.
So we received an email late last week that the Kentucky Secretary of State changed the rates for travel for our district. So this is just a procedural travel request form where a staff member utilizes this form to request permission to travel out of district. And those rates are included at the bottom. So just to let you know, in Kentucky, we have a non-high rate and high rate. So all travel right now, as defined by the finance cabinet, is non-high rate travel. So breakfast, for instance, went up from $8 to $12, lunch $10 to $15, dinner from $18 to $23. So we revised this travel form for that. And then one other slight change we made to the form, if you look at the top section, there's a section for rationale for attendance with a bunch of lines where people write their rationale for attending. Right directly below that section, so just to help facilitate administrative, people will write the codes or the funding source that's going to pay for their trip on that form. And then the travel voucher out of district, 3.125 AP.22 is just the reimbursement when they return from traveling. And again, the only change made were the rates at the bottom. Retro back to July 3rd. So in extension, this is just to explain another item on the agenda, how it affects. We also are going to revise the transportation salary schedule, because down at the bottom, our bus driver stipend, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on the hours that they're traveling.
So we'll have to change that too.
Yeah, so we had to change that as well. So all of those are related. And then also on the salary schedule, I put a note, retro back to July 1st, just to catch, because our pay period is the 1st to the 15th, rather than the start of the 3rd, which I doubt we had very little travel the 1st or 2nd of July. So those are the changes, and I think we are just to present those to the board for review and approval.
Okay. Is there any more questions for Ms. Morris? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the review of the procedures?
So moved.
Mr. Clifton made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hagan made a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion carried. Okay, the next item is revision to policies 03.1326 and 03.2326. First reading. Mr. Jackson.
These two policies are the policies that affect dress and appearance for our staff, so you have copies there with you. We just felt like our current policy is outdated. Some of the language it uses, it refers to pinpoint shirts and turtlenecks and things. And it had been a while since it had been updated, so we just felt like it was time to update it. We did not include this last month when we updated all the other policies because we wanted to take some time over the summer to get input from principals and make sure whatever draft we came up with is something that everybody felt comfortable with. So what we have here is a little bit more generalized approach instead of listing all the specifics like our last policy did. It's a little bit more of a general statement about, professional dress that is expected, but it also gives some leeway there for certain groups that may have, specific needs for dress depending on their line of work. So this is a policy that, there were two policies that are identical except one says certified personnel and one says classified personnel. But we would need 2 readings, so we're recommending that we have the first reading today and then the second reading on Monday night so it can go into effect before the start of the school year.
Looks like it makes sense to me. Simplified it.
Right. That was our goal. If anybody has any questions about it, we have to answer those.
Is there, I was just getting that ring. Is there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the revisions to policies 03.3, 1326 and 03.2326, first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gatton made the motion, Mr. Clifton seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. All right. Next item is review of agenda for regular meeting. Ready to roll? All right.
Do I go through it?
Yep.
Do I go through the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll start with the call to order,
Mm-hmm.
the Pledge of Allegiance, and approval of the agenda. Just before that, just to point out up at the top, we're going to add the mission, and when we have Miss Lauren Laval here, I'm going to ask her to read it at the beginning of the meetings also. And then to follow up with that as recognitions, I'm going to ask her to do kind of what Mr. Jackson has been doing. So she will call for the track team and the softball team, not this month because she's not going to be here because she's a GSP, but starting next
We were just
month.
talking about, that's where she was, yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I feel like that will give her a role and purpose more than just presenting whatever she brings to us.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to Greg earlier, but I've actually had some students asking who their new rep is, so I think that's a good thing.
So when she gets back in town, I'll meet with her and maybe I and Mr. Jackson can sit down and we can send something out about her with a picture on it like that.
That'd be good.
Pretty good.
I can get
You can't see?
It happens.
Hey, I can't live
My
without.
spares are in the truck, right? Don't you? I just got the one.
I can't live without mine.
All right, so then we'll go into discussions. I'll have my report. Sean is going to present the student achievement report, and that'll be a highlight of last year and then what we plan to look at this year. We'll have the site-based report, which will just be minutes. Next week, when we meet with principals, we'll make a plan on who's going to start coming to those. We want to keep that going.
Okay.
I made the recommendation to move the personnel report to this place on the agenda. So that'll be another one for this month. There won't be discussion about, you'll just have the report. Then we'll approve the minutes. Ms. Morris will go through her financial information. A place for public comments. And then the consent agenda. Shall I read through those?
Yep.
Okay, travel report. Trip request, those are standing items. Then we'll go through the handbook for each school. including UCLA and UCVLA, so it's the virtual section of UCLA. Ms. Hollis put a lot of work in on that. Also, we have the transportation handbook, the code of acceptable behavior and discipline, formerly known as the code of conduct. We have our MOAs with Job Corps. They asked us to break that into two pieces. They wanted one just for Victory Tech, which has kind of been the standing one that we've had for several years. And then they're adding a concurrent training, so that would be for the students that are co-enrolled. So they're part-time at the high school and part-time there at Job Corps. So that's why we have two this year instead
That
of just
actually
the only
makes
one.
good, that makes good sense too.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in a lot of similarities, but also some differences. So that's why they wanted to break that apart. Next is an agreement with GRAD, the Educational Neglect Prevention and Family Engagement Program. What they do is parent engagement meetings at our elementary school to combat truancy. We've had a lot of success with that program in the past. 16 is Project Access with GREC. 17 is the CTE funds. 18 is the salary schedule revisions, which Ms. Morris brought up before. 19.
That's the only change on that one, is the, what we talked about already? Or
No, I'll add a few more details when she finishes going through back to
Okay,
my items,
sorry.
if that's okay.
That's
All
fine.
right. 19 is the notification of ARC and 504 chairpersons. 20 is the revision to the dress code policy. 21 is a memo of my superintendent dues for professional organizations. And 22 is the K-9 resources contract for this coming school year. Any other items? And then adjournment. So we need to.
Yep, can I do care if I just add some more details to 17 and 18?
Absolutely.
Okay, the first item I'll talk to, since Mr. Clifton, the salary schedule revision. So what I've uploaded, I've highlighted in yellow the changes. So on the hourly certified schedule for the classified central office, and then there's a related food service. We have an administrative assistant for food service whose rate mirrors the central office. There were a few cells when I copied and pasted. The amounts were slightly less than, yes, but no one's paid at those steps, so it doesn't affect anybody's pay, and they were off like 3 cents or 4 cents. I just didn't catch it at the end in the busyness of getting the entire salary schedule complete. So I've highlighted those cells that changed, but again, it did not change the rates after, and no one are paid from those rates, so there's no impact to, the budget or anything. I just wanted it correct. We could have left it till next year, but. And then the transportation, and then I also added on our professional health services at the bottom, again, it's highlighted in yellow. Last month's mental health therapist at $55 an hour, that needed to be included on our salary schedule once that was approved. So that's highlighted, and those are the only changes. As far as number 17, supplemental CTE funds. So Mr. Jackson and I've met, so we receive state funding each year for vocational funding, and we use that to pay for some of our vocational teachers whose pathways qualify for under this umbrella funding, and we also use it to pay for their programming expenses. Last year and the year before, that level of funding was $435,000. And I know we mentioned this back during May when we covered budget, that the state had changed the funding formula, and we didn't expect any big changes in our funding. Well, we were unpleasantly kind of blindsided by when we received our contract. So our funding decreased at just under $144,000. So we were paying, it's a result of 3 teachers. So now general fund will have to pick up that cost. And Mr. Jackson.
This is affecting last year or this year?
This upcoming year.
This upcoming.
104,000, did you say?
It was $143,800, so $144,000. So what that means is when we look at the working budget for the general fund, that amount will either, again, there's a series of steps that have to occur before we get there. We'll have our tax rate coming in, we'll have our enrollment and our SEEK finalized, but we'll have to see how this impacts the budget, if it's just something that contingency can afford to carry on or not. But we did lose $144,000. So Mr. Jackson attended the CTE conference last week and trying to get some insight into their new funding formula. And so and Mr. Jackson may be able to add some more details. So now there are so many pieces. It's industry certifications, it's program completers, it's the number of classes that students take within those programs, and they're weighted. There's a different weight possibly for each class. Work-based learning placements. So is there anything to add to that?
I mean, you summed it up pretty well. It used to be that all of your funding was based on what they call attended hours, which is basically the number of students you have taking CTE classes. Now that accounts for 60% of your funding, but the other 40% is based on those factors that Ms. Morris just talked about. And it's based on, like this year's graduating class that just graduated, that will impact next year's funding. So we're actually still working on finalizing all of that data. So it's good to know now, have a better idea of what actually generates that funding so that we can, make sure that we're cleaning up all that data to make sure it's, we're getting, everything we deserve for next year.
Do we get funding for the kids that are dually enrolled at Job Corps for their CTE stuff they do up there? Because I know that a lot of that stuff does qualify as that type of thing. I think I just didn't know if it counted toward our hours for funding.
Right, we did not, right now, we're only getting funding for the classes that our teachers are teaching. Questions about, call into the state CTE office to get some clarification on that, and that's one thing I do want to get some clarity on. But as of right now, we're not getting.
I was just curious, I mean, with them being dually enrolled, you think we should get
Right.
some credit?
And what the sour part of this, we asked months ago, what is the funding formula, and it just wasn't available to us. But this is based on, so the award for the 24-25 school year is based on the graduates from the 2023 class. So the graduates from the 2024 class, our funding for next year has already been set. Once we
For
finalize.
26.
Exactly, yeah,
Right.
so we
24
really.
grads affect 25, 26.
That's right. So now that we have an understanding of the funding formula, we can go in and enter some hours, which we have until the end of the month for work-based learning that will help that funding for next year a little bit. But
Is this a change from the spring legislative session, or? Okay.
It is, yeah, it was new regulations that came out in spring.
So it's not like something we could.
Right, that's the frustrating part about it.
and when we did staffing, with our budget, we asked, do you anticipate the state any big swings in our funding? And, it wasn't anything that
Yeah.
they
They
even
told us
alluded
there
we
was
should.
really no way to anticipate what you might receive, you just had to kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Oh, and completers, it sounded like was a big deal. You don't know until graduation.
Right,
Close to it.
and, and the class of 2023 was a small class, so
Uh-huh.
Right.
that just, they happened to be really small that year, and that, kind of, is bad for funding purposes.
So what Mr. Jackson and I are working with, because not only does this take away 3 teachers, it also takes away, on average, they were spending about $25,000 a year for consumable supplies for their program. So now Mr. Jackson's going to work with the teachers to develop a needs assessment. What do you need this year? So the general fund will absorb the cost of 3 teachers plus their program expenses for their program. So we'll have that to consider when we do the working budget. But that is the CTE MOA in a nutshell.
With the next class being a little bit larger, have you run any numbers on how that funding would look? the
Not
year
yet.
after?
We're currently finalizing the data into the system, and then maybe we can project what we're going to receive for 25, 26. But
It's always hard to calculate exactly what you're going to get, because the way the CTE funding works is they have a set amount for the whole state. And then they have to get everybody's data in, and then they kind of divvy it out proportionally across the whole state. So, which that's always been the case, for CTE funding, so you can't tell exactly how much you're gonna get, but at least we'll have a better idea, moving forward. But this year, we really had no way to really even.
You know, in prior years, we could say, well, $10 were down or $10 were up, so provided statewide funding stays the same, we kind of had a good feel for what our funding would do, but it was unexpected, for sure. That's all I have, Dr. Hancock.
Anyone have any other questions about anything else?
Back on the personnel report,
Yes.
just, and I can pull it up and look, how we doing on bus drivers going into the new school year?
We have had 2 more apply this week. We're putting letters of recommendation in to hire both of them, so
Okay.
all of our routes will be full.
Sweet.
And then we'll start working on our full-time subs and
That's
full
great.
positions for that. So,
Yes,
Good.
it's heading in the right direction, so.
Awesome.
great.
Thanks, sir.
And I did have one other, I don't know if you have, on the K-9 resources, has that contract cost changed?
It's exactly the same. I think we had that, so it'll be uploaded soon.
Okay.
We just got it this morning, so we weren't even sure if we were
Yeah,
gonna
do
get
y'all,
it this
do y'all
time.
keep the data on when they come and how often they're here and how often they're in the building?
Yes, so they have to. Understanding, I haven't been able to find it yet, but I'm gonna look on Miss Shepherd's computer to see if she has stuff saved on there. They send a report to her every time they come.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if we could have a look at some of that just to see, I don't, some of that stuff's probably can get to be private information.
Sure.
But I mean, it would be nice to see how often those visits are and every now and then what they find, not necessarily with the individual, but if there's,
Yeah, some data about.
just something to look at, just so we know where that dollar's getting spent. I mean, I understand that they're incredible.
Yes.
They do a great
I
job.
did, I had Shane get in touch with, I think I have it. Here it is. I had him get in touch with Kentucky State Police because they do have canine dogs, and there are some schools that only use them because it's free. They will only come 2 to 4 times a year for free. After that, they start charging you. The request has to be in writing from me, which is no problem. They have 2 specific types of dogs. They have bomb threat type dogs, and they have narcotics, which does include the THC dab pens. But they don't have anything that can detect vapes or synthetic drugs at this time. And a lot of the stuff that we're finding at school and the lots of it we're trying to keep out of school are those things. So we did do a little bit of digging before we went back to look at the K-9 stuff again.
Is that grant still available? Has that been asked?
So Kentucky ASAP set around, so the cost of this is $15,995, and Kentucky
Grant
ASAP
pays for
contributes
it.
$8,000.
Pays for half.
That's good.
So it's costing additional.
Local grant? Is that what it
It's a state grant, but we have, they receive $20,000 a year to a local level, local Kentucky ASAP.
So we're spending roughly 7,000 within the district,
Right at eight.
right at it.
And the 2 closest state police canines are Owensboro and Murray, and depending on where they're at that particular.
If we're having a big issue with synthetics, then
We are.
we need to
And
be,
a lot of
we
the
need to have
things-
dogs that will address that too.
A lot of the things that Canine Resources picks up in the school building are things that wouldn't be utilized from a canine from the state police, so, with the over-the-counter meds and things like that. And they, from personal experience when I was at the high school, I would say 3 out of 4 times when they come, they're finding over-the-counter medications and different types of things.
And I'm just guessing the state police dogs were probably trained as attack dogs as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
That-
that's
a-
another topic.
Yeah.
Especially when you got students involved in a building that we're somewhat liable for.
Somewhat. I feel a little heavier in my chair.
Yeah.
And I guess-
Yeah.
That partnership for me, they help, as far as I know, they've been doing it 20 years here, right, Craig? Something
And
like
they've
that.
never upped the price. They've never changed their services.
So the tip line.
Just the data would be something I'd like to, I'd just be interested to see, you know, how often they're here, when they're here, and I'd like to follow them around sometime, just see the dogs.
And another option that they have for us, that is a requirement for the risk assessment with the state is.
Yeah, that's been pretty beneficial too, the way I understand it.
For sure.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, is there anything else for the agenda? Okay, we will go to general discussion. Do you have anything?
I have a couple of things. Everyone knew it was Lauren Lavelle that will be joining us. I've been working on my professional growth plan, which will come to you guys next month. But I wanted to show you, I don't have a generic form of going to kind of progress monitor stuff. So those are the 7 standards. So then every month I will update what I've done in each standard for that month. And that will go along with my professional growth plan, but I want you to get to see that today. The other thing that I brought, memo for as of July 12th, these are all the schools in our area. McLean County, Webster County, Russellville Independent, Breckenridge County, Elizabethtown, Hancock County, Mayfield Independent, Grayson County, Davis County, Owensboro Independent, Edmonson County, Ohio County, and Henderson County. They have either voted to prohibit or plan to vote to prohibit the distribution of the cannabis in their school. I just wanted to update you guys on that. There are none in our region,
I know
0.
That's what we'd asked too, is to get an update, so thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
0 planned to do that in our region, and that was consistent at WKC and Greg. Jefferson County, I'm sure you've heard, is the only one that has voted to
Yep, I heard
begin
that
that.
from my daughters real quick.
Yes. So those were the 2 big things that I wanted to update you all on.
All right.
And as far as any other, whenever you guys, the rest of you are ready to vote on that, I mean, they can add that to the agenda anytime as far as I'm concerned. I know how I'm gonna vote on it, so,
On this?
yes.
Yes. I agree too.
I
So
mean, if you wanna
whenever
add that to the
Do you wanna
agenda
add
for Monday,
this one?
that'd be
Yeah.
fine with me.
we can add that to the agenda.
Sounds good.
I'd just soon get it over with, instead of wait till December.
And there may be questions before we enter school. Parents
Yeah.
and community members want to know,
I
what
agree.
are we going to do?
Yeah,
I think
Well, I feel
that,
like with all the other districts in this area haven't already voted on
they've
it,
already,
that we ought to go ahead and act.
Yeah. There is a
opening day.
It's opening day? Or
Opening
the,
day is
before,
luncheon.
what I see, I thought I saw something about at the middle school, they were feeding the staff or something, is that not, am I dreaming?
yeah, it's opening.
That's
It's
day.
the
opening
opening
day.
day of school?
Not the opening day for kids.
Opening day of staff, no.
Staff.
Yes,
Okay.
it's the district opening day, so we have a professional day and a work day and stuff before that.
Okay, what time is that?
And you know the time of the lunch?
Luncheon is at 11:30.
11:30
Yes.
at the
Monday,
middle school, August 2nd?
So I have a guest speaker in the morning, and then we'll all go to the middle school for lunch.
What time is the guest speaker gonna be here? That'd be what us would be interested
It's, I think the guest speaker, will open at 8,
in.
and then the guest speakers start by 8:45-ish.
Are you providing the lunch, or is that something that's gonna be
Country Fresh.
country?
They'll be
Fresh?
providing it. Last year, everybody just went through a serving line, so it was pretty streamlined process.
They pretty well got it down pat.
Years ago, we used to, our staff want to be treated as the
I
other
mean, I
staff.
seen you cooking big old thick ribeye like you're squatting. I didn't know about the body.
If they asked, we would gladly do it, but it is nice for our staff to be able to join in with everything.
What's the date for that?
August 2nd.
August 2nd?
August the 12th.
12.
August 12th.
August 2nd.
So
August
are
12th.
we welcome to be there, or is that just?
Yes,
I mean,
of course.
you ain't got
Here's
feed.
your invitation. I'm
You
sorry.
ain't got feed me. I mean, I ain't on the way.
It's opening.
Be supportive of it.
Well, the speaker's gonna be great.
Staff
Um,
opening day.
Lunch will be good, lunch will be great, and then our community decorates the tables, which will also be great.
So that's after the meal? Is that,
What?
I mean, the community decoration?
They decorate
They
each
decorate the
table.
tables.
It's
Oh,
for people to
before
sit
the-
at.
oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
It's
you
a
ever-
big deal.
Yeah, have you
It
ever
is a
been
big
before?
deal.
Is that where the businesses?
Competition is
The
fierce.
businesses come in.
Yes.
I mean, I was calling Evan saying, when's it gonna be? 'Cause I'm gonna get my stuff in order.
She get her hot air balloon out.
She's even requested a special table.
We see it.
They told me I
Gotta do
couldn't.
what you gotta do.
Nicole, I should have introduced her as our guest before, but she has some really good news, and I asked her, she called me earlier this week, and I thought, well, it's not very often that, we can,
There's positive.
good things come back. So I invited her, asked her if she wanted to come
I mean,
share the
money.
good news
We'll
with
take
us
it.
board members. So,
Let's go.
Von Geiger, our Kimi Workers' Comp, they're our agent for our Kimi and our general liability and all that good stuff. So she has some good news related to our workers' comp policy.
We got a email, or I got an email first of the week, I guess it was first of the week that I called you, or the end of last week, I can't remember either. That there was gonna be, some, return, or 20% dividend back to Union County Public Schools. And it is for the 2021 school year. So if your, loss ratio was 65% or less, you got the 20% dividend. And it is, drum roll, $10,703.50. It'll be coming, a check will be coming in August. And we went ahead and did it today, I don't have a check in hand, because it was after the fact in August.
It usually arrives late August.
Yeah, so, and the other board work, we wanted to go ahead and let you know that it was coming,
That's
so.
great.
So-
It will be received, they said they were gonna cut the checks and get them to us the first 2 weeks in August, so.
So, our premium was roughly about $49,000, so if you take 11 off of that, so we're down, to about $38,000 in premium for that year.
It's awesome.
It
Which
is.
our premiums kind of eked up over the past couple of years because we've had some claims, so that was
Mhm.
good news.
That happened, so to get some back was an awesome, y'all were number one on the list too, so. Yeah, the biggest dividend, so yay,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonder if I could do it.
Insurance very rarely gives money
No,
back, so that's
exactly.
good.
That's right.
These days.
That was worthy of her.
It's not that big. $12, Ted.
But mine probably, I don't pay probably near what.
Okay, do you have anything else, Dr. Hancock?
Not that I can think of. Oh, one more thing. Whenever we do pictures for recognitions,
Uh-huh.
I've asked Mr. Tackett on Monday to bring his little backdrop, so we can have a backdrop. And I'd like for one of you guys to be in the picture with me every time.
Okay.
We can rotate out, or y'all can draw straws, however you would like to do that. But I'd like for you guys to be involved in that recognition.
Okay.
Good idea,
Sounds
on the
good.
backdrop. I like
Yeah,
that.
I
No,
do
that's
like the
good. I
backdrop.
always, there's nothing wrong with the walls in here, but something
Do a
to,
little something, something.
that's good, yeah.
That'll be good. Okay, do we have anything else? I think that alarm must be
That was
needing
the alarm.
to. All right, do I have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Mr. Gadd made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hagan made a second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carried.
Thank you all.
Your first Murphy's.
You do your best and we'll do the rest. Fight, fight, fight with all your might. We are the Braves and our team is right. We are the Braves and our team is right. Go, go for our colors bright. We are so proud of the blue and the white. Score, score, score and fight some more. And we'll win this game tonight.